Well, this is the election time, November the 9th, 11/9/2016, and so we have the Jupiter-Pluto alignment and the Uranus-Saturn alignment. In short, this should all mean self-determination, like we said, as we see going on in very many Western nations. It's all the same subject, self-determination, people trying to figure a way to live self-sustained lives. So the discussion goes through all the subjects from world affairs to economics to personal lives, and how 2017 and 18 move with Jupiter in Scorpio and then Jupiter in Sagittarius. So it's the outlook of what happens after Trump is elected.
And any other election I've been involved in, and that is the
watching the elections.
The paid negative TV ads that have worked so well in the past haven't worked in this site because the voters are onto this. Who's paying for this? I wonder if that's even true.
This is what is done on how it's done. We're going to see if the game
with the big establishment. They're washing each other's hands. They are reinforcing the discipline that didn't exist 4 years ago or 8 years ago. It began, of course, but now I think it's manifest, and that created the perfect storm.
He knows a lot of stuff, that guy.
Nominated and conceivably elected.
I like one of the points Trump made here, and I think it was Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon had him on, and he goes, anybody, and I'm beating everyone. I beat 16 people. He's like, don't we want someone that's going to come in, spend the least amount of, tax avoidance is I'm not going to pay the maximum amount of tax. I'm going to pay the least amount.
Think about that. Would you want a president who goes out and pays more taxes than he has to? Because such a person would be too stupid to be president.
Yes.
You want somebody who pays what they're required to pay under the law. Who passed these tax laws? The Republicans and the Democrats working together, and the Clintons have used the exact same loophole.
Alright.
Bill Clinton introduced
1993.
So this is the idea that Trump has done something wrong with his taxes. No, what he's done is smart.
Yes.
If he had legitimate losses, and he did, he gets to deduct them. That's the way it works. If you don't like the system, change the system.
Absolutely, and that's what he pointed out. You were part of the political system for 30 plus
That's
years.
Amsterdam
And
here.
why didn't you do anything about it? Well, because
That's
you and all of your
Capricorn. Okay, so you
billionaire
got
friends were
Pluto
taking
here,
advantage
right?
of these tax loopholes
That's
as recently as
quite
2015,
Uranus.
as we saw with her tax returns. So it's just total hypocrisy.
Right,
Have you been seeing any of the emails where even Clinton's
Jupiter.
staff and the inner workings, they're sort of saying, well, with enough practice, she can almost sound human. She can almost connect with the voters.
This applies.
Why her? She's
This
so
applies.
disliked. Saudi Arabia.
This moves
She's got a lot of support in Saudi Arabia, though.
67%.
67% of
Oh, so
people in
that,
Saudi
this
Arabia.
is self-determination.
Like Hillary Clinton. I mean, dismal poll numbers here. Like, why her?
The sad truth, of course, is that the Clintons really have a hammerlock on them.
So either way, it's 9-11-9, right? It's double 9-11, right? Right, that's 9, 9, 11. It doesn't matter if it's the European or the... Okay. The moon is in Pisces and the reformation stuff. Okay, Mars is leaving Capricorn and entering Aquarius. That's the important one. And that relates to this one. And that relates to this. And this, I said, it applies. Okay, so that's Jupiter, balance, justice. That applies to this one, control, deep state. This one escapes towards self-determination. And that's the people, and that's the leader of the people. So usually masculine. We think that would be a guy. Based on the astrology, it would mean the people, like he's explaining, have voted for Trump. And by, plus 15%. No, he thinks more. Anonymous says plus 25%, but okay, plus 15, that's enough, right? So the question is, can deep state control actually steal the movement? Can the movement, which is reality, is explaining, right? Can this astrologically be stolen by the deep state? That's what we're witnessing right now with maybe 1 hour. So we've heard it's already won probably Ohio, North Carolina, and which that was not obvious. So if he gets Florida, he's in the ballpark. I mean, we've heard figures just based on the numbers he had, and I had said in April, that's a half a year ago or more, I said he would get these huge numbers. I said he would win the nomination. He got 4 million people, so that's twice as much as anyone before in all history. So the movement is measurable, it's real. So what we're seeing here in astrology, what he's explaining, it's real. The question is only, can they steal it, right? And that's a discussion of cycles. That's a very long story where I go from the high elves into, you know, how society is now. But it's important astrology that we're witnessing at this moment. And who he says, this is this guy Roger Stone, right? He served under Nixon, and you know, I've seen them all. Al Haig, I knew Al Haig. I mean, this guy, he knows where the bodies are buried. And he's educating the younger techno wizards. This is an older man, he must be 75, he's been around, he knows the inside. And he's educating these younger technicians and whiz kids who they know how to make a society work. But the old school, the old guard of the control, deep state people, hey, they can't even encrypt their emails. So, no, okay, so this is the chart right now at the moment. Okay, so you see the time, 09:38 p.m. UT. Right, that's 10:39 p.m. Right, 10:39 p.m. in Europe. Okay, that's UT. That's now, you know, getting towards 5 o'clock in the afternoon in New York. Alright, so you have the moon just about to leave Aquarius at this moment, leaving 4 arc minutes away, moving into Pisces. And at the same time, you will have Mars leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius. So we have these last many weeks, 6 weeks with Mars in Capricorn, strategy, determination, very hard going. Now Mars in Aquarius will be group effort, liberation, technology, and generally very networked connections. Later we have other changes coming. Venus goes into Capricorn. And now we'll see, okay, then we also have, I told you that before, Jupiter, the square to Pluto applying. Applying means really Jupiter balance just is moving right into it. Pluto in Capricorn, we explained, that stands for deep state, control, black budget, hidden government, that stuff. And which continues, you know, for a while, but at the years to come. But you have Jupiter going into it, Uranus in Aries, that self-determination and the people. And if this Mars and Moon aspect is read correctly, and if we see the results that we have heard already, it reflects what we have seen in all of the realistic polls, which is that Trump has this 15% lead at least. So then we explained the question could only be, let's say what it is not the question. The question is not, has Trump won or not? We said he will win, but I can tell you now he has won, right? So that's not the question. The question can only now be, can the deep state put a fake reality in front of the actual reality? And that's a Neptune in Pisces astrology consideration. That's a big subject, right? Where what's reality, what's fake, how do people perceive it, how can it be manipulated? It's really a question of how they can manipulate. So we'll discuss it with all the notes we have here.
Stone makes a great point. Total crickets when it's time to clarify some of the false stories, some of the misinformation that's put out there. But, you know, we saw with...
So at this moment, the moon has moved into Pisces. It's now 11 o'clock European time, 5 o'clock in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Ohio. Trump has now Arizona, Georgia, Iowa, North Carolina, Ohio. The others are still being decided. The East Coast has closed the voting almost. Okay, so right now at 11 o'clock European time, that's 5 o'clock in New York, the moon has now moved into Pisces, like I just explained, right, 20 minutes ago. And Mars, here, is about to leave Capricorn and move into Aquarius. They call this a reformation aspect, and in general, certain astrologers are saying that this means, I mean long and short, okay, it means that Trump wins the election but would not be put into the White House. That's what some certain astrologers ask me to talk about. And we're saying, well, he's leading with 15% so far. Well, the other explanation is the bigger level of astrology is still Uranus in Aries, self-determination. It is well connected to Saturn, that represents actually government treaties in Sagittarius, that's international treaties, and that lines up also positively with Jupiter balance. And that, by the way, is very good for economy starting now. All these indicators that we just discussed speak for a big change, for something new, something completely different than we ever had. So continuing with the same crowd of deep state control would not actually reflect the astrology of now, November the 9th of 2016. And ongoing, of course. This comes even more into play by January, February, really all of 2017. So if you fast forward the cycle, because by the way, astrology is in motion, most astrologers look at a point, like they'll say this date, 8th of November, but actually the election began, you know, that people voting since September, so the astrology cannot apply to this date right now. We're just commenting on what is happening at this very moment, but astrology in motion sees cycles moving on. So if you forward this into January, February 2017, all of the symptoms we discussed apply more towards a change, towards self-determination. So all this would mean more Trump, more Marine Le Pen, changes in Catalonia, Scotland, France, Germany, Eastern European nations, self-determination of the nations. That's what this astrology in the big picture means for seeing, 4 years. We can talk later about 4 years increments, why can seers only see 4 years? Can we see further, or do the branches of future? The moon has left Aquarius and moved into Pisces shortly before the moment Mars leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius. They call this a reformation aspect. Some want to explain that that means that Trump gets actually elected, which is being elected now, but does not go into office. And I'm saying you can forget that. You can just look at Trump's chart. That's my original chart I did, and it's on my site. And when you look at where the activity is taking place in his chart, many other astrologers who refute those we've just discussed say that he will be president based on his own chart and the chart of the event timeline. It's a timeline. So as I've explained in earlier videos, Saturn, I don't want to paint it in his original chart. This is Donald Trump's chart. Saturn lands on his moon now, tonight. And Mars is moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. And in addition, we have the moon change that we could discuss now from Aquarius into Pisces. When the moon is in Pisces, generally speaking, in an election, you find that the underdog wins, or that the people get the wish. And when you really look at reality now, history, as I explained on my site, as we're seeing with Roger Stone, it's clear that Donald Trump is the underdog. He's not from the deep state. So the astrology of Trump, of the event timeline, and of the whole cycles would see self-determination. That's in short what I'm explaining tonight.